And once we've done that, we'll do an Nmap scan. Windows machine, and we'll use Metasploit, PowerShell, and some other tools to gain access to this Windows machine, discover our privileges, and escalate our privileges to admin to take over the machine. So let's get started. So Steel Mountain is a subscription-only room on TryHackMe. You can deploy Steel Mountain once you're a subscriber, and we'll go ahead and start off with the scanning process of this machine. So we'll take our IP address and put it into our targets file. And once we've done that, we'll do an Nmap scan. We're doing -il for input list, and we'll put that targets file in there. And then we're going to do a -pn for no ping and T5 to increase the speed for the scan. We'll do output all formats, that's the -OA, and then we'll call it steel. We'll kick that off. So the initial comeback on this system is that we have quite a bit of ports open. We see 80, 135, 139, 445, 3389, 8080, and a couple of 49,000 ports. Just based on this and looking at what's going on, you can clearly identify this is a Windows server. These ports are usually open and associated with Windows, and so is these 3 ports. That doesn't mean, well, these 4 ports actually. That doesn't mean that, they're not just open and something else is hiding behind there, but, a majority of the time looking at things like that kind of indicate what's going on. But let's go ahead and see if we can get any more detailed information. So we're going to run some script scanning with Nmap here. We're going to do version, we're going to do vulns. Since we have SMB port open, we'll do SMB all, and we'll do HTTP all, and then we're going to add a script timeout. Of 2 minutes. All right, and we'll go ahead and get that kicked off, and then we'll look at the web ports while this is going to be scanning. First, let's fix our scan, and I did vols instead of vuln. Okay. All right, so we had 80 and 8080. So there's 80, and then there's port 8080. All right. So when looking at this room, again, TryHackMe has tasks, and these tasks are things that you're shooting for to accomplish. And we'll notice that the first one is asking who the employee of the month is. If you've never seen Mr. Robot, then seeing this picture probably has no meaning to you at all. So we could look at the source information of this web page and see if it would give us some information here. And we can see here, as part of the source code for the page, that the image has his name there. And so that's the answer that we were looking for that task. For task 2, we're asked to look at some of the other information that we have. And so we're going to look at what other ports are running, what that web server is, and then how we're going to exploit that. So we still got our scan running. And we'll look at the other portion of this. So we see we have some kind of HTTP file serve 2.3. This gives us a good version number, a kind of a name of an application. And so while the scans are still going, we could go ahead and start looking up if there's any vulnerabilities for this. So we'll type in, we're going to do search exploit, we're going to do HTTP file server, so search exploit, HTTP file server. We did not get anything back from that. We can see if we can figure out anything else. The title of the page is HFS, so we could try that. We are getting some hits back, and we see that we are getting a Rigetto HTTP file server. And so what it did is basically had a space in between there instead of all together. So there's multiple versions that are vulnerable that have known exploits in ExploitDB. Looks like we're working with version 2.3, and so we'd want to kind of work with those versions. Looks like we have these 4 here, and then also one in Metasploit. So let's try both ways. Let's do Metasploit, and then we can come back and do the other way. So we'll do Metasploit first. We'll do msfdb run. And while that's going to start, I'll go ahead and open up another terminal down here, and we'll get copying over the exploit that we're looking for. Alright, so we're going to do search exploit and -m for mirror, and we just need to pick out which one of these that we are looking for. We want some remote code execution, and so we have a couple options here. We have a 1.5 and a 2.x multiple vulnerabilities, arbitrary file upload, and then remote code execution. Whenever you have a remote code execution, that's kind of the one you want to go with first. This one has a Python script, it looks like, so we'll try this one first and see if this is going to work. So we just need to copy that number, and then we do search exploit and the number, and I'll copy it to our current directory. And we'll go ahead and copy the other one too, just in case. All right, so we now have both of those over here. Let's load these up into Visual Studio Code and see if we can make sense out of those. And then I can also do this in Metasploit at the same time. All right, so we're going to do code and then 39161 pi. So when you try to do Visual Studio Code, if you're root, it says that you need to specify a user data directory. So we're going to specify that real quick. All right. Let's make this a little bit bigger so we can look at this. So for this exploit, what we see here is that it's looking to kind of open up the URL, search for something, and then execute commands in there. It looks like that we need to put our local IP address and then our port number. It's going to do some VB scripting. Looks like it's going to try to save some VB script there. We can kind of see here where it's creating objects and doing Microsoft XML, HTML, strings. There's a get, and trying to get the IP address. It looks like it's going to capture netcat.exe or nc.exe. And then in here, looks like what we're doing an execute. So it's executing netcat right there, and then command.exe and the IP address and our local port number. So this exploit looks pretty interesting. Like it's going to basically, we need to be hosting a web server. Okay, hosting netcat. You may need to run this multiple times for success. All right. All right, so this looks interesting. Since this is a Windows box, though, we would need the Windows version of netcat. Differs, yep, right out of the box. With wine under Linux, okay. Let's go ahead and make sure we have the Windows version of netcat. So let's see if it does. All right, so we do not have nc.exe. We do have nc, but I am going to think that that is, yep, user bin nc, so that's netcat. So we'll need to get that if we're going to host it. So we're looking just for netcat to see if we have that, instead of downloading the whole Nmap project. There's a zip there, so we might end up having to do that, unzip it, and then pulling that out. Yep, that's what it looks like we're going to do. So we're going to copy this link. We'll go back over here. We're going to make a directory. We'll just call it nc. cd into that. And then we'll do wget. That's going to pull that zip file down. And then we need to unzip it. So unzip. And we're just looking for netcat, so see if we can find it. So netcat, right there, ncat.exe. And so if you run file against ncat.exe there, we see that's a portable executable for Windows. So that's what we're looking for. So we'll copy that ncat, and we're just gonna put that more in our main directory there, and we'll go ahead and name it nc.exe. Since that's what the exploit was kind of looking for before, if we go back up here. Yeah, so we need to host it on our IP address at 80. All right, so we can cd back into this. All right, and we see our nc.exe there. I'm just going to go ahead and make a directory called payloads. And that way we can kind of put that in there, and that's the only thing that we're serving out of that directory. And not serving up all of our stuff that we just basically have put in this directory so far. So now we're in payloads. That's the only thing in there. Excellent. So now we have what we need to serve up. So let's go ahead and serve it. If you're new to Python 3, you can run the Python 3 web server by doing python 3-m and then http://server. And in this case, we're going to need to do port 80. So we're probably going to have to put well, we're root, but if you're not root, you would have to do a sudo so that you had this data serving out of there. And so now that that's running on there, and what we'll do is we'll split this window again, but we'll split it the other way. And so now we have our payload hosted in the left side, and on the right side, what we're going to do is run that script that we basically have. So if we run this script, we need to do a target IP and a target port number. And so the IP address is going to be this one here. Oops. There we go. And the port number for that file server was on 8080. We found that when we're looking at this. Okay, so that looks like we have everything done. Let's make sure one more time, look at the exploit. Okay, yep, need to have a web server hosting netcat. May need to run it multiple times for success. Oh, and then we have not changed this port either, or changed the script. So we need to change this real quick. So that's my local IP address and local port number. So that should be, let's get our IP address. I have to split this one too, because I would think that we need to have netcat listening. Move these windows up a little bit. All right. And sure, we'll leave the local port as 443. We'll run on 443, and that way more likely to get it back. So we'll need to nc dot nvn p 443. Okay, so now we're listening there. We did get some data, but that's something else. We haven't run anything yet, so. All right, so if everything's set up now, we should be able to run this. We see that the get for netcat happens. We'll run it again. Again, as the script said, we might have to run it multiple times. We're getting some telemetry data back from something else. Just looking at the script one more time just to make sure. Import number in the script. Yep, we have that. Yep, that looks right. So we see that it's pulling netcat. We know that this is working. We're just not getting the callback. We could try a different port and see if maybe that'll work out. NC L. Yeah, it doesn't seem like that's executing back. So let's look at the other one. Let's see what happens there. So we're gonna search for HFS. We'll find the Windows exploit there. We're gonna use one. See what options that it needs here. All right, so we need to set the R host. We need to set the R port. It's also gonna host something on our end. And then we need to set the payload option. So our host is going to be that remote host IP address that we had. Our port's going to be the 8080 again. And for L host, we want to do 10.0. And 8443 seems fine. We are serving on port 80, 80. All right, let's see if we can get this to kick off. We already have 8080 because we have netcat listing on that. So we'll close netcat there. And then we'll try exploit. It said our local IP address was the wrong one. So let's see if we can change that. No, we apparently have an interpreter session. Excellent. So we got the interpreter session back, even though that the exploit reported the wrong IP address, which is weird. We can get UID, and we're still mountain bill. All right, excellent. So we're on the box now. We'll go ahead and kill these other terminals. The netcat thing should have worked the same way, pretty much. It was basically downloading a file and then executing it. All right, so we got that. We need to figure out the user flag. So that would have been Um, we're in desktop.ini. There's the hfs.temp. So we're right now in C users bill app data roaming in his startup. We want to change our directory. So we're changing our directory down. We're trying to get to Bill's main directory here. All right, and then there's the user flag there. So then the next portion of this is privilege escalation, and you could do this multiple ways. You could do power up, you could do win piece. The room here shows you to do power up, and then it's kind of giving you the knowledge of how do I upload a PowerShell file and then run that through Meterpreter, and that's a good thing to kind of know. So I'll show that off a little bit, and then we'll try. We also think we have to cover WinPs later. So for me, my PowerSploit scripts are saved in my opt. So we'll do ls opt PowerSploit. We want privilege escalation, and then we want power up. So there's power up there. So this is the directory that we need to upload to, or be able to know where that's at. All right. So in Meterpreter, what we can do now is load PowerShell. Okay, success. And so now if we do a help, we'll see that we have PowerShell commands. So now we can import a PowerShell script, and that's what we'll do. So we need to basically give it the path to the file, and so that's going to be in our local system there. Okay, and so now we're going to upload that and import it. Success. And now we'll execute PowerShell execute, and that should be invoke all checks. So invoke all checks is a function within that power up script, and it's going to basically run all these different checks to see different avenues of possibly doing privilege escalation. And so what we see here is some results, and the findings come back with what they call unquoted service paths. And so inside some services that get installed, what they do is they don't put quotation marks around the path, and those become kind of a way to put files in certain locations that end up having execution, and so we'll show that off here. So the big one that we see here is we see this Advanced System Care Service 9. We see AWS Light Agent, IO bit unserve, live update service. So there's a couple areas here that we need to look to see if we have the ability to do anything with those. And it's also pointing out that we can check the service executable and argument permissions, and it looks like that Bill should be able to have a write attributes to these locations, and can also restart this one here. So this advanced system care 9 really kind of ends up looking like the one that we need to do something with. And there's no other findings there. So we have a location for that file, and we need to just double check to see, we can double check its permissions. So let's copy that. Now, if we wanted to double check these permissions, what we need to do is kind of rely on another tool. And to do that, we'll need to host it. What we're looking to do is understand the permissions of that file just to make sure that we have full permissions. So we can do sysinternal tools, and I kind of have multiple ones here, but what we're looking at is access check, and access check allows us to be at a command line level, check permissions of files, list those out so that we can see, if we can overwrite this file or have permissions to write to it. And so the files, I've put those files in here, and we're gonna run another little Python web server, host these, and then since we're already on the box, what we'll do is we'll just pull those files down to run. These binaries are signed by Microsoft, so they're kind of really end up being flying under the radar most of the time. Okay, so now we're serving that there. We still have access to run a PowerShell execute command. Let's see where we're at. Okay, so we are on Bill's desktop. Let's make dir check. So now if we ls, we should see that directory. We're going to cd into it, and we'll download our files in there. Okay. And we still have Meterpreter, so we could download those technically from here, or we could run PowerShell to download the file. So I'll run upload, and then we'll just get those that way. We won't need this Python web server. If you did need to do PowerShell instead, you could do the PowerShell command to grab those files that way. So we're going to upload, and we're going to upload opt sysinternals and access check. Now, so again, I'm writing directly to this person's desktop. So, if anything, they hopefully would have seen this and been like, why is there's this new folder on my desktop and things. You would want to put this somewhere where that's not, seen as easy. All right. All right, there's one. We want the exe and the EULA. Okay, so now these files are uploaded to there. Another file that we should just go ahead and upload while we're uploading is WinPs, since that's something that we talked about that we're going to look at anyways. All right, so back on my my computer here. We're looking at the Privilege Escalation Awesome Script Suite. If you've never seen WinPs, if you do GitHub WinPs. This is just the Windows one, but if you go to the main branch, it has Linux and Windows. And what it does is it provides like a graphical response back out for a bunch of different privilege escalation opportunities there. So it's a really good script. It can be, a lot of data to parse through and look through, um, but it helps out. So we want cd winps. And then still going in. Bin x60. Well, let's see what we are. So I'm running system information. I want to see what version architecture we are. We do have x64, so we'll do x64 release. Yeah, so we got release. And there's WinPs there. All right. So we want to upload this /winps.exe. Upload that winps.exe. All right, cool. So now we got our files located on the server. What we need to do now is we're going back to looking at that service that we had looked at. Let's close this. Clear this. Bring this back up. Or not. Fine. All right. So with Metasploit and Meterpreter, we could do an execute command. We could execute that access check and see where see the permissions of this. So this is the service that we're looking at, the advanced system service. And the reason that we, again, highlight in this is because this service has the ability to be modified by Bill. It can also be restart by Bill. These other ones say that they can be modified by Bill, but they can't be restarted. So that would mean that the system would need to reboot, and that would probably draw big attention, to something going on or some kind of error or something like that. And you can see here as we're looking through these other ones, same thing, is that we're not able to restart any of these up here except for the advanced system care service 9. So that's the one that we want to check. All right, so we're going to execute. We're going to run, let's see what execute needs. We can create a process hidden from view. We don't really care about that. In some cases, of course, you would want to. Arguments to pass to the command, channelized IO for interaction, dummy execute to launch when using -m. So you could execute it from memory too and hide what's actually going on underneath there. So let's just do execute. I think we have to do a -file. We're going to do access check .exe. And so it creates a process and it kind of just hides it from us. So that didn't really work out for us. So let's just do a -C. It's just a channel. So we're not getting the information that we kind of want back and forth, so we'll just do a shell. We'll break down to the shell. So now we're in the shell on the box. We are in the folder that we created. And so if we look at the file, we can see there's the access check there. And if you run this command, it gives you a lot of output. So legal disclaimer, you got to accept the EULA. And so we can see that we need to basically put that argument flag in there. And once we do that, now we get the help. And so what we want to do is, again, check the permissions of that service. And so we're going to do a -C, name as a Windows service. We're going to do a verbose. We want verbosity. We want to suppress errors. That's fine. And then is there anything else we want to do? Don't see anything else. So let's try that. So access check .exe. Again, we got to accept the EULA. And then we are going to do UCV and then that name of the service. All right, so looking at this now, what we see that it is a medium mandatory level. Read-write for NT authority system and service all levels. Built-in administrators. We also see Steel Mountain Bill can pause, start, and stop that service. And then reading for NT Authority Interactive for these service levels, and then same thing there. So this definitely looks us like we can pause and we can stop the service, and that's kind of what we're looking for. And so we need to see now, can we do anything in that directory that we found the advanced service care, and then also can we do anything to that binary? If we can override the binary, then we can just put whatever we want there and it doesn't matter anymore. So we had the binary here. Let's see what we can do. Let's just check the directories. All right, so we're going to save the path. All right, and then, all right, just pushed an error. There we go. And so now we're going to do access check. .exe. We'll accept the EULA again. We are now doing a -UWDQ. And now we got to put this in quotation marks because we have, a bunch of different characters and things like that that kind of come up. And so that's where the file's at. We'll start with program files first and see if we have access to right there. So it does not look like that. So we can see that read-write NT authority trusted installer, read-write authority system, and read-write built-in administrators. That's the only people that have access to that folder. All right, and now we're diving into IO bit, and we can see that Bill can read and write exit into IO bit folder. So this is good. This is what we wanted. So since we can put something there, we need to generate, well, what we're going to put there. And so this is where we'll start generating this up. So we're going to use MSF Venom. You could do, netcat or something else. Although with the netcat, it'd have to have, like IPs hard coded or something like that. So this is kind of where MSF Venom kind of helps out. So we're going to do payload Windows x64 shell reverse TCP. The L host needs to equal our 10.11.0.14 if I remember right. Yep, there we go. And we're going to have an L port of, let's just go all fives. And -F exe and O shell. So that's going to generate that. We're looking to see where we want to put that file. So since we can, again with the unquoted service paths, what's happening is every time there's a space, what you can do is put a .exe there. So like in the first section here, what we did is we looked at program files to see if we could write there, and we already knew it, we couldn't write to C. So you put C program.exe, and if that's there, then that gets executed, and then it's C program files .exe, and then so on and so forth. And so since we can write to IO bit folder, we can put an advanced.exe in that folder, and that's where that should end up loading because of this problem here. So currently we're in our shell, which is not going to allow us to upload stuff. So I'm going to exit out of this shell, and that's fine. We're back into Meterpreter, and that's the benefit of having Metasploit, is that we can drop back down to Meterpreter. And so we have our shell here. We need to change that shell to to advanced. Okay. And then we're going to upload that. Oops. Okay. So now it's uploading to the box, and we need to put that into that IO directory. So if we do an ls, let's see where we're at. We're in the access check. So we need to, let's see. Yeah, I didn't think so. So we're going to drop back down into a shell. We're going to move that advanced.exe into the C program files bit. So move advanced. And we'll put this in quotations. All right, and if we now cd into that directory, we should see that it's there. Again, we'll need to put it in quotations because we have spaces. So we see our advanced.exe there. So this should be set up now. We should have everything good to go. The only thing that we need to do now is set up our Metasploit to catch this. So MSF, do we have Metasploit still running? No, oh yes we do. We have it here. All right, so we need to background this. Okay, we need to use exploit multi-handler. And then what we're gonna do is set payload. You're gonna set the payload exactly the same way as you did here. We'll set the L host as ton 0 and set the L port 5555. And then we're also going to go ahead and set exit on session as false. So in case that we need to execute this binary again, we still keep the handler running. All right, so that's going to be, we'll put that in the background. So we're going to exploit -j. And so now our session handler is in the background. We still have our original session, so we need to get that going now. So we'll interact with that session, and we need to restart the service. So for that there, we'll need shell access again. And now that we have that, we can do sc as service, and then qc query, and then we're going to query that advanced system care service 9. So advanced system care service 9. And so we see there's the service name, the start, It's binary path and local system. So that's good. That's what we're looking for. And what we need to do now is stop this service and then restart it. And it hopefully will then pick up our advanced.exe binary because of the unquoted service path and execute that instead. So we'll do sc, and then we're going to do stop. All right. It's asking us to terminate channel 10, which is not good. That's our channel. Let's say no and see if we can keep our channel. Doesn't look like it. Hopefully we'll get kicked back to Meterpreter. Yep. And then let's see. So now we'll go back into shell. Yeah, we still got time. So it's looking like Meterpreter now is having an issue. We'll try one more time. We'll jump back into the session. We can try to execute a command and see if we can get that service started back up, and maybe we'll get the shell. If not, we might have to re-exploit. All right. So background this. We'll go back to search for the exploit, and we'll just re-exploit. Make sure that's all good. Okay. Let's kill it session and then see if we can get it back running again. The resource might be tied up, and that might be why the exploit's not working. We might have totally messed up. All right, now it thinks that something else is behind there. Awesome. All right, let's try this. Yep, so now it looks like we've killed that box. Let's just restart it. So we'll just need to update our host to that. I'll give it a couple of minutes for the box to start up, and then we'll run that again. We'll need to re-upload the advanced.exe onto the server, and then try to do that service command. We'll probably go ahead and upload netcat also, and then that way we have two listening shells. So while that's waiting, let's get a payloads directory going. Okay, yeah, we got it right there. That's fine. All right, we're gonna manually set the L host. Maybe it's not pulling it correctly. So we did receive a payload request, which means that the server did come back to us. It's pulling that VBS script next, and then it should execute it. So now we have the interpreter session there. All right. So we'll want to interact with that session again. Let's also see if we can get multiple sessions going, because again, that's kind of what ended up happening, is that we killed that service and then it killed us. And we want multiple avenues to get back on the box, basically. So a little persistence here. So looks like we can use 65 here. We want to set the amount to, let's do 3. Set the handler to true. Set the IP list of IP. So that's our IP. So we're looking at IP list and we want to change that. What else we got? Okay, we got the payload and then we need the session. So our current session is 1. Our session is 2, sorry. So set session 2. Alright, so if we have everything correct, then port number for the payload variable. Alright, let's try running this and see if we can. So hopefully we get multiple sessions now. And that way we don't end up locking ourselves out of the box again. Nope. So it looked like it did it, but it did not give us that callback, which is interesting. Alright, let's upgrade our shell and try that. Again, we don't want to get kicked out of the box like we just did. That was our biggest problem. So we're going to do a type post. We're going to look at Arch. We want to use Arch migrate. So we're showing options. We just need to set the session to 2. We'll run that one. All right, and then now we are Arch migrating to a 64-bit process. All right, we'll give this a shot again. We'll upload the netcat binary. I was thinking though that it's just basically going to end up giving us the same session back, so that's not going to really help us out too much. All right, so that's successfully migrated. Let's just jump in the sessions. Let's go ahead and try to upload the binary again and see if we can get moving. All right, back to session 2. We're going to upload. Let's see what our current working directory is. All right, so we're in Bill's startup folder. We want to be in a couple more. All right, so that should put us in Bill's folder now. Yep. All right. All right, so based on what we had before, we'll upload the binary here. Let's make a directory and then we'll upload the binary. And then we want to put the advanced.exe in that location that we discovered before and hopefully restart the service and that it doesn't kill us this time. Everything else should be still set up the same way. We'll double check by looking at jobs here in just a second. So we're going to cd into payload. Once we're in there, now we can upload. And we're going to upload All right, so now we're uploading an advanced exe. Okay, let's background this interpreter session. Make sure we have everything set up to catch. We do not. So we do not have any jobs except for the multi-handler. So we need to set up the multi-handler for the other. So we're going to use exploit multi-handler. Okay, it is x64, shell reverse TCP. We were correct there. We did have ton 0. Let's just go ahead and set the L host manually just in case. We are sitting on quad 5. That is correct. And show advanced. Let's see if we are. We are not exiting on session, which is good. Okay. All right, so exploit-j, that should keep our jobs going. So now we have the listener sitting on the port. So now we can jump into that session and hopefully restart the job and not get kicked out this time. All right, so let's jump in the shell. There's our payload. We want to copy that payload. So again, we're on Windows now, so it's copy. We're going to copy advanced.exe. And we're going to put this in quotation marks because we have spaces and stuff. So we want to copy that to program files x86 IO bit. IO bit. Okay, so that should be there now. All right, we're in that directory. We see that advanced.exe is in there. And so now we're going to try to restart that service again. All right, it did not like restart. I was hoping that we could just do it all in one command. We can pause it. Continue, stop, config, failure. No. All right, we're looking to get our command prompt back here. Or maybe we'll just open up another session. Oops. Hopefully it's not stuck. That's what we got stuck into last time. Nope, we're good. Channel 3. All right, so we're trying to stop the service, and then we're going to try to start it. All right. look like it. Look like we might do better this time. System care service 9. So we're hoping that this picks up our binary that we put in the path location and then executes it, and we should get a shell. Oh, FG. And it looks like we did. Yep, so there we are, sessions 3. That's exactly what we're looking for. So yeah, using the unquoted service path, we were able to get it to execute that advanced.exe. Now we have a shell coming back to us, and we want to upgrade that shell. Let's get it to interpreter, and then from interpreter we can see what we're looking at here. We are at administrative level at this point, but it's nicer to have interpreter if it's possible. So we're going to search. We'll do a type post, and then we're going to look at basically it is interpreter. And then so what we're looking for is shell to interpreter, which is number 6. And we just need to set the session. That one was 3. We'll just double check that. Yep, session 3. And we can run this post module now. So it's going to jump into that session. It should upgrade it and then give us a callback, and that should be interpreter now. In this case, it did not do it. So we could look, see what our options are. Maybe something didn't catch. We'll set the L host as ton 0 just in case. We'll set an L port of that and try it again. And if it doesn't, it's not the end of the world. Again, we're just looking to have that. Oh, there we go. So now it's sending the stage. Yeah, whatever reason, it's not fully uploading a stage onto it. So we can do that. We can say, there it goes. I was too quick. There we go. So now we see that interpreter did upload and that we have NT authority system. That's in session 4. And now we have access to that. So let's see what else we needed to do for the box to get the rest of the... we did upload power up. That was something that we did before. That's how we found the invoke all checks, and then that's how we found the advanced system care 9. And then the root flag. So now that we're system authority, we would be able to basically let's see, I think it's in shell. going to do C:\users dir cd administrator. If I can spell right. And then we see the root.txt there. Let's see what else they want. So access and escalate without Metasploit. We tried to do that with the netcat command. Let's see here. Yeah, so it's just showing you that ASC service.exe command is also vulnerable. We can use WinPs system using PowerShell C. Once WinPs, it points us to the unquoted service paths, provides us with the name of the service running, what command would you normally find the service name, and then let's escalate to administrator. So same thing here, basically. So pretty good box, a pretty good way to kind of look at vulnerable service, the HFS service running on the machine, and then gaining access that way, and then once you have access, getting administrative privileges through the unquoted service path. So hope you enjoyed the box, and we'll see you on the next one.